Welcome student. Today we are going to discuss classification of dyes based on applicability on the substrate. In last video we discussed classification of dye based on application and their dyeing method, that is direct dyeing, wet dyeing, etc. Today we are going to learn classification of dye based on applicability on the substrate. Here substrate is any textile material, it may be leather, it may be any fabric material, it may be any plastic material, etc. Let's move. Classification of dye based on application or applicability on a substrate. They are classified into 9 type, that is acidic dye, basic dye, direct dye, modern dye, wet dye, sulfur dye, disperse dye, reactive dye and azoic dye. There is 9 type of dye classification based on applicability on the substrate. That is first one acidic dye, second basic dye, direct dye, modern dye, wet dye, next sulfur dye, disperse dye, reactive dye and azoic dye. Let's discuss one by one. What is acidic dye? Acidic dyes are dye wool, silk and other protein fiber from a acid bath containing dilute sulfuric acid or acetic acid. Wool, silk are an other protein fiber from a acidic bath containing dilute sulfuric acid or acetic acid. They have no affinity for a cotton, linen and viscose rayon. Their acidic dye are used for a dyeing wool, silk and protein, wool, silk and protein fiber, and they are immersed wool, silk and other protein fiber, they are immersed into acidic bath, and that bath containing diluted sulfuric acid or acetic acid. Next, they have no affinity. Acid dye have no affinity for cotton, linen and viscose rayon. They are water soluble dye and containing sulfuric acid group. Sulfuric acid group are known as solubilizing group, and rarely carboxylic acid and phenolic group are present. They are water soluble. Acidic dye are water soluble dye and they contain sulfuric acid group and rarely carboxylic acid phenolic group. They produce wide range of brilliant shades. Or attractive shades. The fastness property of this group vary widely, but many dyes have excellent fastness properties. Example of acidic dye is orange second dye. Next, basic dye. Basic dye are used to dye wool from weakly acidic bath. They have poor affinity to cotton and cellulosic fiber, and hence they are dyed with the help of mordant like tannic acid and tartarimate. They have poor affinity to cotton. Basic dye having poor affinity to cotton and cellulosic fiber. Affinity means attraction between dye molecule and substrate. Here substrate is cotton and cellulosic fiber. Some of the basic dye are used for a dyeing and printing polyacrylonitrile fiber. Some of basic dye are used for a dyeing and printing polyacrylonitrile fiber. Basic dye having brilliance of shade and high tinctorial value, but they have poor light fastness. Basic dye have brilliance of shades and high tinctorial value. Tinctorial value is related to staining, imparting the color on the substrate, but they have poor light fastness. The basic nitrogen in the form of primary and ternary amino group or a heterocyclic system like oxyazine, thiazine, which have basic oxygen or sulfur, are the characteristic of basic dye. The basic nitrogen present in the primary and secondary amino group or a heterocyclic system of oxyazine, thiazine, which have basic oxygen or sulfur, are the characteristic of a basic dye. Means structure of basic dye containing primary and ternary amino group and oxygen and sulfur. They are mainly used for dyeing wool, leather and paper. Basic dye are used for a dyeing leather, paper and wool. Example of basic dye: methyl violet and Victoria blue bee are two example of basic dye. Next, direct dye or direct dye. These dye are mainly applied on cellulosic fiber such as cotton, viscose rayon and cuprammonium rayon. These dye are easily applied from aqueous solution, so that they are called as direct cotton dye. Name of direct cotton dye because of they are easily applied from a aqueous solution, so they are called as direct cotton dye. Some direct dye require a presence of inorganic electrolyte. Out of there are so many direct dye. Out of them, some are directly apply, or they are directly apply because of they are easily soluble in water, but some of them are soluble or they are apply in presence of some inorganic electrolyte. These dye are also called as salt dye, since common salt or global salt is generally added to the dye bath for a exhaustion. These dye have affinity or substantivity for cellulosic fiber, hence they are also called as substantive dye. Direct dye, then salt, they are also called as salt dye because of the common salt were used for a dyeing process. Then direct dye also called as substantive dye. Direct dye have poor light and washing fastness. You know fastness properties: light fastness or washing fastness, rubbing fastness. They are extensively used due to low cost and simplicity of the dyeing process. They are extensively used because of their cheaper cost, or we say lower cost and simplicity of the dyeing process. They are easily impart on the substrate because of they are easily soluble in water, so they are directly apply. There is no pre-operation take place for a dyeing process. Got it? Next, azoic dye. The dye which belong to this class are not ready-made dye, but they are formed on the substrate itself by the use of two components, usually referred to a naphthol and a base. They are not ready-made dye. Azoic dye are not a ready-made dye, but they are formed on the substrate itself by the use of two components. One is naphthol and second one is any base. These dye are also called as ingrain or developed dye. Azoic dye are called as ingrain or developed dye. Thus the preparation and application to the fiber take place together. Naphthol are the coupling component. Generally, they are arylamide or aromatic acid. Naphthol are the coupling compound which are used in ingrain or developed dye. Generally, they are arylamide of aromatic acid. Azoic base are aromatic primary amine which are used in the diazotized form when applied to the fiber. Azoic dye are very popular due to their cheapness and bright shade. They are very popular dye. Azoic dye are very popular dye because of the they having low cost and they give bright shade, means low cost, and they are attractive as compared to the other dye. Next, modern dye. Modern dye can be applied or mixed on wool or other textile material with the help of an auxiliary chemical which is called as mordant, and hence these dye are called as modern dye. What is mordant? What is modern dye? Modern dye can be applied or mixed on a wool or other textile material with the help of auxiliary chemical, and that auxiliary chemical, it may be any inorganic or organic material, that auxiliary chemical are called as mordant. That auxiliary chemical is called as mordant. Got it? The mordant are used to increase the dye fiber affinity. The important properties of mordant, they are increase the dye fiber affinity. Further, they are combined with dye forming a brilliant color lake. The color of the lake depend on the mordant used. There are two type of mordant, that is acid mordant, basic mordant, tannic mordant. Tannin or tartar emetic are acid mordant used for a basic dye, while sparingly soluble hydroxide or chromium, aluminium, then iron, tin are basic mordant, are used for acidic dye. Here, basic mordant, tannin acid and tartar emit are acid dye, where basic dye are used as chromium, aluminium or iron or tin are used as basic dye. These dye have hydroxy, carboxylic or nitroso group at ortho position so that they can form a complex with the metal, and they are useful for, or they increase the dye fiber affinity. Dyes, this type of modern dye having hydroxy, carboxylic or nitroso group at ortho position so that they can form a complex with a metal, and the complex which are useful or they are increase the dye fiber affinity. Next, wet dye. Wet dye are water soluble compound. They are convert into water soluble form called as leucoform by the action of caustic soda and reducing agents such as sodium hydrosulfite. During the reduction, carbonyl group or quinone group is converted into enolic or phenolic group respectively. This process of reduction and solubilizing in alkali is called as wetting. What is wetting? What is wet dye? Wet dye are dye which are water insoluble compound. During the reduction, carbonyl group or quinone group is converted into enolic or phenolic group respectively. This process of reduction and solubilizing in alkali is called as, that process is called as wetting. That process is called as wetting. Then this alkali salt of reduced wet dye is called as leucoform. It's called as leucoform. It has affinity to textile material, especially cotton. During the dyeing processes, this liquid form of the dye is applied to cotton and then exposed to the air. When it gets oxidized into original insoluble dye molecule which get trapped into the fiber. The affinity of textile material, especially cotton, during the dyeing process, this liquid form of the dye is applied to the cotton and then that textile material is exposed to the air. When it gets during this process, it get oxidized into original insoluble dye molecule which gets trapped into that fiber. This dye have excellent fastness toward light, washing and perspiration. This dye, wet dye, have excellent fastness toward light, then washing fastness and perspiration. Example, Enderthin Red 5JK are example of wet dye. Next, sulfur dye. These are highly colored insoluble dye. They are generally prepared by heating dinitrochlorobenzene with sodium sulfate and sulfur. They are generally prepared by heating dinitrochlorobenzene with sodium sulfate and sulfur. The composition and structure are not well established in sulfur dye. However, they are found to have disulfide or sulfone linkage between aromatic ring. The sulfur dye are reduced by aqueous sodium sulfide to get the soluble form. This substantive form of the is applied to the cellulosic fiber which absorb the solubilized dye. The dye is then regenerate by atmospheric oxidation. The sulfur dye have dark shade and they are cheaper. Sulfur dye have also dark shade and they are cheaper dye. Next, dispersed dye. These dye are used to dye hydrophobic fiber. Hydrophobics means those fiber are they hate the water. Fiber like polyester, polyamide, polyethylene, polyacrylonitrile fiber, nylon 6, nylon 66. Those are man-made fiber. Dispersed dye include color of the azoanthraquinone, phthalocyanine. The dispersed dye which are used to dye cellulose acetate, rayon called as acetate dye or dispersed acetate dye. These dye are water soluble compound. These dye are used as fine particle dispersed in the solution with the help of dispersing agent. The micro dispersion are applied to the fiber using a organic carrier or by using a temperature or a pressure. Micro dispersion means during the process of imparting the dye on that substrate, the dispersion, micro dispersion are applied to the fiber using a organic carrier or by using a higher temperature and a pressure. The fine particles of the dye diffuse into a material of the fabric and they are held on absorption. There is classification of dye based on applicability on the substrate. They are classified into 9 types. We have azoic dye, dispersed dye, direct dye, acid dye, base dye, wet dye, sulfur dye, modern dye and dispersed dye. We will stop here.